Part 2 of complex numbers, solving quadratic equations with I involved. Right, so I'm going to show you an example of an equation which in Core 1 cannot be solved, but we can in further maths. That's why you've chosen it. So x squared equals minus 9 is the example I'm going to give you. So if you were to get x on its own, you would just square root it, wouldn't you? Okay, so x is going to be plus or minus the square root of minus 9. Okay, it's plus or minus because it's a quadratic, so there's going to be two answers, but you can't square root that minus 9, can you? So we've got to put this with minus 1 in, because we know that that is the imaginary number, and we know that this is not real. So we can say that x equals plus or minus the square root of minus 1 multiplied by 9. Okay, and from our previous part, we know that minus the square root of minus 1 is I. So x is plus or minus I root 9. Okay, but we know what the square root of 9 is. Square root of 9 is 3. So we can say that x is plus or minus 3i, and that is your answer to that. Okay, I'm going to show you another example which is just a little bit trickier, but this exactly the same applies. So I'm going to give you x squared equals minus 5. Okay, so do the same again. You're going to square root the top, so x is plus or minus the square root of minus 5. Okay, so now you have to get the imaginary number involved, so you're going to get minus 1 in the square root sign. So x is plus or minus the square root of minus 1 multiplied by 5, because they're the two numbers that make minus 5. That's where I'm getting them from. Okay, but because you cannot square root 5 and it's got a really long value, you would just write that x is plus or minus the square root of 5i. Okay, and that is basically your answer to the slightly harder equation, but exactly the same is required.